Nixon pardon. That one pardon attorney speaking to Politico there. Joining us right now for more on this is CNN's senior legal analyst, former state and federal prosecutor, Elie Honig. Elie, another former pardon attorney called this an extraordinarily broad grant. Why is this so broad, more so than a typical presidential pardon? What do you think of it?
Well, Kate, this is as broad as a pardon can possibly be. Ordinarily, a pardon will specify a certain case, and that happened here. It says, I hereby pardon Hunter Biden on the gun case in Delaware and on the tax case in California. But what's different about this one is it also says this is a full and unconditional pardon for all conduct going back to January 1 of 2014, which means Hunter Biden cannot be federally prosecuted for anything going back to 2014 and really before then, because before then is going to be precluded by the statute of limitations. And as you said before, the only historical precedent, the best historical precedent for this is the pardon of Richard Nixon by Gerald Ford, which has similar language that says full and unconditional pardon. So Joe Biden has pushed to the absolute outer limits of the breadth of the pardon power here.
And as you've heard, in the political sense, there's been a lot of reaction to this quickly, and there will be more today. But looking at it kind of in the, keeping it in the legal sense, past presidents generally have cited how pardon recipients have accepted responsibility for their actions as a reason to grant them a pardon. Biden is not here. He called it a miscarriage of justice that Hunter Biden was unfairly singled out, which is something that we have heard Donald Trump lean into before in targeting the Justice Department and the so-called deep state. Does Biden, in this move here, give Donald Trump new cover for whatever pardon action he decides to take in the future?
To be sure, Kate, we're already seeing that. The first reaction from Donald Trump and his team essentially is, what an injustice. Now we get to do the same thing, which is sort of an interesting twist of logic there. But without question, I mean, look, there has long been a fair debate, fair on both sides, about whether Hunter Biden is being treated overly leniently or overly zealously because of his status as Joe Biden's son. I think there are points to both sides of that. But what I think is not disputable is that this is a historic act of political nepotism. This is the granting of a pardon by the president to his son. Joe Biden even says, if you really parse his statement, he acknowledges that a substantial part of this is because Hunter Biden is his son. And that will land Joe Biden on a historic list that he probably doesn't want to be a part of, along with Bill Clinton, who pardoned his half-brother Roger Clinton, along with Donald Trump, who pardoned Charles Kushner, who is the father of his own son-in-law, Jared Kushner. So I'm sure Joe Biden understands the historic implications of what he's done, and now he's earned his way onto that list.
I want to read you something that the Democratic governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, posted about this. He's not okay with the move. He wrote in part, "I'm disappointed that he put his family ahead of the country. This is a bad precedent that could be abused by later presidents and will sadly tarnish his reputation." Does this damage the justice system?
Well, I totally agree with the governor that this pardon will tarnish Joe Biden's legacy. I mean, Joe Biden, let's be clear here, he lied to us for a long time. He said categorically, I will not pardon my son. He said, I will take it off the table. And he couched it in very high-minded terminology. I respect the Justice Department. I respect the jury's verdict. Well, now he's gone back on that. I don't know how many people actually believed him. I certainly didn't. There's tape of me saying there's no way he's going to make good on this. He's absolutely going to pardon Hunter Biden. But as to whether this tarnishes the justice system, I don't think I would go that far. I think this, like I said, will go down on the list of ignominious presidential pardons, but I don't think law students 50 or 100 years from now are going to look back at this as a horrific miscarriage of justice that undermines the foundation of our justice system. There is a reasonable argument that in some respects Hunter Biden was treated unfairly, and I think that will give Joe Biden some degree of cover here.
Elie, thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate it. John?
All right.